The way you train if you are strong but you're slow is going to differ than if you are fast but weak. And I'm going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to basically give you a really clear plan so that way, whichever category you fit in, and maybe you're neither, maybe you're super slow and you're weak, but I'm going to give you basically a training plan that you can use if you fit into any of those three categories right there. It's a really simple breakdown. So let's get right into it. My name is Logan Ryan. I'm a basketball performance coach. I've been doing this for the last 11 years. I've been on the basketball coaching side. I still am. We actually just won a championship today for the high school I coach at, Mission Bay High School. I've coached at the collegiate level, at the Division I, and at the junior college level in high school and youth. And then I've also been on the strength and conditioning side, where I was a director of strength and conditioning, worked with hundreds of athletes each year, specifically basketball players. So that's my little background right here. Now let's get into the framework. So if you are strong but you're slow, your training needs to prioritize speed, because you're already strong. You're already good at producing force. You're just not good at producing force fast. So if you fall into that category of being strong but slow, you need to prioritize velocity-based training. All your training could be velocity based if you are fast and strong, or fast, strong, slow, weak, whatever. But when you are strong but you're slow, you really need to prioritize training with velocity. And that means, like, if you're lifting, you don't necessarily need to do lifting that is really focused on 1 rep max type of strength, or like increasing the absolute number that the heaviest that you can do. You really want to prioritize what is like a number, what is a weight that I can move really fast that's still challenging, right? So if we're talking like percent of 1 rep max, maybe that's something like, maybe you're lifting like 70% of your 1 rep max and you're trying to see how fast you can do it. And if you got the technology for it, you can measure that in meters per second. If you don't have the tech for it, an easy way is to just use a timer. And maybe you do that 70% and you're able to get 2 reps in 5 seconds. And then 2 weeks later, you test it again and you're able to get 3 reps in 5 seconds. Okay, well, you just got better at producing force fast. Some other things that you can do outside of like lifting is just things that like athletic movement style type of stuff. So that's like sprinting and jumping and plyometrics and things of that nature. Ballistics, medicine ball throws, Olympic lifts, all those things that really focus on high velocity of movement and contraction. So that's what you do if you are strong but you're slow. If you are fast but you're weak, then it's kind of the opposite for you. You're already fast, and that's your superpower. And it's not that we want to lose your superpower, but we need to accentuate it by training a little bit more of your weakness. So if you are fast but you're weak, you need to focus on getting stronger. You need to focus on increasing things like your 1 rep max, the absolute heaviest that you can lift, but also like your 80% and your 90%. You need to like train a lot of that, so that way you increase your general strength. It would also be helpful for you to do a little bit of hypertrophy work, not a lot, because especially if you're fast, you probably have a frame that's more on the slight, or the, like the thinner frame or something like that. So you don't necessarily want to add a ton of size, but you do want to add some size, so that way you increase your potential for force production, because you have more muscle fibers to produce more of that force, more and or bigger muscle fibers to produce more of that force. So it increases your force production potential. So that's what you want to do if you are fast but you're weak. You got to get stronger, and you do that through like maximal strength training, as well as hypertrophy style training, right? So hypertrophy will increase your force production potential, and then the maximal strength training increases your ability to actually produce maximal force. And then you still want to do some power work. I'm not saying like disregard power work. I'm just saying you want to focus more on those. And then the third person, if you are fast and strong, so I guess there's 4 people. If you're fast and strong, then you can do, really want to just continue accentuating all of them, but probably focus a little bit more on the velocity side, just because that translates better to sports. But if you're not none of these, if you're slow and you're weak, you need both. You need just a very basic balanced program that, force production, which is like strength in other words, is the essence of all athletic qualities. It's the foundation of all athletic qualities, whether that's how fast you are or how high you jump. Doesn't necessarily mean you have the highest 1 rep max. It just means you're really good at producing and applying force, in a quick amount of time. And so if you're slow and you're weak, you need to get better at producing a lot of force, and you need to get better at producing that force fast. So you're basically doing a combo of the two programs I gave you before. If you are strong but slow, or if you're fast and weak, you're like both of those people. So you need to train both. You need to train, do some hypertrophy to increase your force production potential, because you increase the size of your muscle fibers, and then you want to do maximal strength training to increase your ability to produce the most amount of force possible. And then you want to do some power training that's going to focus on more velocity, so that way you can produce the most amount of force possible in the least amount of time. That's how you want to approach it if you are slow and you're weak. And like, that's just that's basically how you want to approach your training. And then the method you go about it, it's up to you. There are so many rep schemes and progressions and programs that you can follow, but those are the goals that you want to go after. So if you are strong but slow, you got to work on getting faster. You want to increase your force production, focus more on power training. Power meaning like really accentuating velocity. If you are fast but you're weak, focus more on maximal strength training and some hypertrophy, so that way you can increase your force production potential and the ability to produce maximal force. If you are slow and you're weak, you want to do both of those, or really, I guess, all of those. And then if you are already fast and you're already strong, you're probably not even watching my video to begin with, but if you are, then you want to continue accentuate or training all the qualities, I guess, so that way you can continue to do it. And for any of these people, you do want to train all the qualities I just gave. It's just depending on your archetype, you basically want to accentuate more one style of training, maybe a little bit more than another. So like, I'll give you an example. When I was at Phoenix College, 2 different athletes that we had, I'm not going to use names to respect their privacy. Maybe I'll ask them next time if I can refer to them by name, but 2 athletes, and they were very different. One of them was a little bit bigger type. So I want to say he was like 6'5"-ish, maybe 6'4", 6'5". He was a big guard / wing for us, really more of a wing for us. And he was really good at, he got stronger during his time, but what really helped him get better on the court was we increased his ability to produce the most amount of force, so like max strength. But what we really did was we focused on his ability to produce force fast. We did power focus training for him. So like, that was his focus, was velocity. Whereas we had another guy who was, he was kind of twitchy. I wouldn't say he was the most twitchy kind of fast athlete, but he was that was definitely more of his body type. He was way more lean. He had a little bit of spring and explosiveness to him, but not a lot. And he wasn't very like strong. And so for him, we did focus a lot more on just like getting him strong. And we still had some power training in there, but for him, it was a lot more of a focus on strength. And so when we would get into the weight room and we would do our lifts, we're lifting as a team, and they might have the same exercises. And then maybe I'm telling them, I had everybody write down their things in a notebook. That's how we would track our workouts. And then they would always be able to see their progress. I would be able to quickly reference it and what we did the previous session and so forth. But I was telling one guy, the guy who was strong but not necessarily fast, I'm telling him, yo, I want you to do your squat this way. I want you to go maybe not as deep, but I want you to focus on going really fast down, really fast up. And then the other dude who was fast but not really strong, I'm telling him, yo, I want you to go deeper on your squat, and we got to increase, like, I want you to go a little heavier on this. I just want you to get really strong. And that was the method that we did, and it worked for both of them. Like, the dude who was fast but not necessarily strong, first of all, he had some freakish numbers. Like, it was either his first or his second summer, he increased his vert by 6 inches in 6 weeks, which was crazy, but that was because he had never strength trained before. So like, his body just responded super well to that. But he also he became low-key like a bully on the court. Like, he loved to be physical with dudes and body them on drives and like bump dribble and just all that stuff. He became a much more physical player. He was already a physical, gritty dude, but now he had the physical abilities to actually be a physical kind of bully. And then the other guy who was strong, but not fast, he became a lot more, he became a lot more athletic and dynamic. He was coming off of an ankle injury, and so we also did some ankle work to help him get his ankle stronger. And shout out to the sports medicine team. They did a great job with him as well and getting him back to full health. But with all the velocity focused and kind of springy work we did, like he started getting way more dunks. He got back to dunking again, period. And then he started to get more dunks in games. He started to be way more dynamic, pinning shots, getting more rebounds, sprinting in transition. Like, those were the things, and at the end of the day, they were somewhat following the same program in the sense of exercises, but it was how they executed those exercises. One of them was doing much more deep squats. Who was that guy who was fast and weak? He was doing deeper squats and he was going heavier, whereas the dude who was strong but not fast, he was doing more speed squat style squatting, so that way he could get stronger. And those are just minute examples I'm giving to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So I feel like at this point I give you a little story, but the gist of what I'm trying to say is, if you are strong but you're not fast, or you're slow basically, you got to focus on velocity for your lifting. If you are fast but you're weak, you need to focus on getting stronger. So do more hypertrophy and maximal strength style training. If you are both slow and weak, then you need to do a little bit of both. And if you are fast and you're strong, then you probably aren't even watching my video to begin with. But if you are, you want to accentuate both styles. You want to continue expanding what you can do, both in the most force you can produce and how fast you can produce it. But you're probably going to veer more towards the velocity side. So that's it for today's talk. If you got questions or comments, just drop a comment down below. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe it. If you got questions in addition to commenting, you can also shoot me a DM on Instagram or hit me up on Threads. Either of those works. And if you're looking for some training programs, you want something that's already done for you, I got two in the description that I'll link. And if you also want to just train with me one-on-one and get something a little bit more customized for you, just shoot me a DM, like I said, on Instagram, or shoot me a comment here. But as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Hope y'all have a blessed day. Agape love to you. Peace.